welcome back to my channel. So on today's video, this is part 2 of my series trying the best selling foundations at Sephora. And today we are trying a fairly new foundation from LANCôME. This is LANCôME Teint Idole Ultra Wear Care and Glow Foundation. This cost 65 Canadian dollars for 30 ml, which is a little less expensive than the first one I tried, the YSL. That's 75 or 76 Canadian dollars for 25 ml. But they're quite alike when it comes to their claims. They're both claiming to be 24-hour long wearing, transfer resistant, and they both have hyaluronic acid to hydrate the skin. And speaking of claims, this foundation again claims to be 24-hour transfer resistant. It'll give you healthy looking glow serum foundation with buildable medium coverage and SPF 27 plus hyaluronic and mandelic acids to hydrate and smooth skin for a natural looking glow finish. This liquid foundation also claims to be made for all skin types and is suitable foundation even for sensitive skin. So I have tried this a few days ago, but I got the wrong shade. So I kind of know how this foundation behaves, and I know that even though it is a silicone based foundation, it doesn't need a heavy silicone primer. So to prep my skin, I'm going to use my Glow Recipe Niacinamide Dew Drops. It's actually not a primer, but it's such a good base. Such a light serum that a lot of people are using this as a primer. And it gives you that glow. So I like this underneath my makeup. So I'm just going to let this serum set for about 10 minutes. Let my skin absorb this serum so it doesn't bother the foundation that I put on top. So it has been 10 minutes, so let's try on the foundation. I got the shade 125W, which is described as a fair light with warm yellow undertones. I have a neutral undertone, but when I was looking at their website, I don't see a lot of those neutral tones, so this is the closest shade that I got. I actually got the 230W before. I thought that that was closest to my skin tone, but then when I tried it on, it was a little too warm, so hopefully this shade matches me. So let's start with one pump. Well, actually I did 2 pumps because 1 pump I don't think is enough. And I made sure to shake the foundation up. So the first time I tried it, it was really holding its form, but now that I shake the bottle, I can see that it's more liquid and it really drips onto my skin. Let's try it on my right side using a brush. Okay, now it's one shade lighter than my skin tone. I was really having a hard time getting my shade with this foundation. LANCôME has been in the industry for so long. I'm kind of expecting them to have a wide variety of shades. They have 30 shades, which I think is big, but not big enough. It's not that inclusive. Oh, I hope I didn't return the last foundation I have so I could mix this two together. I think mixing the 230 and this 125 will give me that perfect shade. But yeah, this is now a little fairer than my skin tone. Yeah, the coverage is pretty natural. I am not seeing a lot of glow. This is my natural glow, especially because I used the Glow Recipe Dew Drops. And this is how side with the foundation looks like. I'm actually seeing more glow on this side. If you were to ask me if this is a glowy foundation, I don't see that dewiness. I feel like it's more of a demi-matte finish. And the smell is also very strong. You know the scented face powder that is very floral? That's how it smells like. So if you are very sensitive to scented foundations, I don't think that this is for you. This is heavily scented. I don't smell it now that it's on my face, but when I sniff on the brush, like I can really smell that floral scent. Since it is 82% serum, it actually feels like a skincare product. And with 1 pump, I can see that it really evened out my skin tone. It neutralized the redness on my skin. It actually reminds me of a tinted moisturizer. It reminds me of the Rare Beauty tinted moisturizer. You can still see my broken capillaries You can still see my skin underneath with this foundation, but it really evened out my skin tone. So I'm going to let the right side set for a bit, and I'm going to use my fingers to apply the foundation on my left side. Yeah, because it is serum-like, and it gives you this kind of chalky feeling when it dries. I feel like it's better applied with your fingers, because I feel like with your fingers it spreads better. Yeah, see, I still have a lot of that foundation when I use my fingers. The smell, it's super strong. I can really smell the floral scent of this foundation. Oh, you know what? I just realized this scent reminds me of that Airspun powder. That really strong florally scent. So to put the second layer on my right side, I'm also just going to use my fingers. I'm going to concentrate where my redness and my hyperpigmentation is. When it comes to coverage, that's my second layer. Like, I know that there's a second layer foundation. I can see that this side looks thinner than this side, but I can still really see the skin underneath. So when it comes to coverage, this really performs more like a tinted moisturizer than like a full coverage foundation. And maybe because it is 82% serum, that's why the coverage is like that. So this is with 2 layers of foundation, 1 layer foundation. Let's do a second layer to my left side. So this is how my skin looks like after 2 layers of this foundation. So I have a texture here. It's a little bump. I think it's definitely a pimple that wants to come out. And the foundation is not clinging onto that texture. Like, it doesn't wanna stick to it. So I'm gonna add more. Let's see. This still has a drag to it. It has been 5 minutes, but the foundation is still a little bit tacky. Before I put on my bronzer, let's actually test if this is transfer proof. So I have a clean tissue here. I'm gonna press it. It's definitely not transfer proof. You can see a lot of foundation. Actually, I think if you're putting 2 layers with this foundation, because it is very creamy and kind of like moussey, I don't think that it will be transfer resistant. I want to be more consistent when trying out the foundation for this series, so I'm going to use the same bronzer as I've used before. This is the e.l.f. Putty Bronzer. Yeah, because it has that drag to the skin, it's hard to blend the cream bronzer. I'm also going to skip my cream blush, because the last time I used the cream blush, the Rare Beauty, because that is a thinner cream, more like, it actually feels like a liquid blush than a cream blush. It actually kind of interrupted the foundation, and I find that I don't have a lot of foundation underneath when I put that blush. I'm just going to use a powder blush. Yeah, I usually use a more of like an peachy orangey concealer to color correct the blue under my eyes, and then I put a highlight so that my under eyes doesn't look too sunken. Yeah, I don't get a lot of sleep nowadays, so it's manifesting through my under eyes. Yeah, and because this is not my right shade, my concealer looks too yellow. It's okay, we'll work it out. I'm also not going to set this with my usual Estee Lauder setting powder. I'm going to set this with a lighter powder. This is my Charlotte Tilbury one, because the last time I tried using, it's not actually heavy, but like it has a heavier consistency, that powder. It made the foundation like really sink into my pores. So I am just going to lightly powder the rest of my face with this thinner powder instead. And I'm just going to be super light-handed with it. I'm also going to use a powder blush, and again, skipping the cream blush. Yeah, so this happened the first time I used this foundation as well. It's not easy to blend out, so I have to be blending out while applying. The friction will remove the foundation. Hopefully not. Yeah, it's thinning out the foundation. So when it comes to cream and powder, it's not that blendable on top of this foundation. Because it is a demi matte foundation, it just gives me that natural look. So whatever my skin is before, it looks the same but evened out. So I'm just going to finish my eye makeup, my lip makeup, and then we are going to do a photography test with this foundation because this has SPF 27. Let's see if there's any flashback with this foundation. Now that I finished my makeup, let's go closer and look at this foundation. It looks very, very natural. Now that I have my bronzer on, the shade looks better, but I know that it is one shade lighter than my skin tone. And when it comes to coverage, you can still really see my skin underneath. I don't think this foundation will give you full coverage, and I don't think it's claiming that too. I think that it's only claiming to be a medium coverage foundation. But so far, the way that I would describe this foundation is a natural demi matte foundation. Really not glowy. I don't see any glow, and now that I've set it with powder, it looks more matte. Now that I've set it with powder, let's see if this is transfer proof. It really isn't. Like, I can still see some of the foundation on the tissue. So it's not transfer proof, but let's see how it wears out throughout the day. So I'm going to update you on the form. Sorry for the background, we're doing a little reno on our living room, but this is how the foundation is looking like on natural light. Now that I am in natural light, I can see that it's really highlighting the texture on my skin, and I can really see some spots that are not blended. I think this is my bronzer because it has a little drag to it. It's really hard to blend products on top of this foundation. Okay, so an hour has passed by. I can see a lot of the foundation also on the side of my hood and here as well. It's rubbing off on my jacket so much, and it's not even creating like a friction per se, hitting my face while I was driving. So yeah, as you would notice, I have a lot of complaints with this foundation. 4th hour update. I noticed that the part where I put concealer on, that started to sink into my pores. It just shows that with this foundation, it doesn't like other products on top of it because it makes it heavier. But as a foundation on its own, I actually like how natural looking it is. And even though it's called a glowy foundation, I actually like how this mattified my face and really controlled my oil, so I still look fresh even on the 4th hour. I'll update you on the 8th hour. So 8th hour update, this is how my face is looking like. A little of the foundation is rubbing off on my chin, also on the side of my cheeks, and I'm starting to see the foundation really sinking into my pores. So I'm giving this foundation a 3 out of 5 stars, and here are my pros and cons. My first pro is that it really feels like a skincare when you put it on your face. It really moisturized my face. My skin was so supple to touch. I also like that it evened out my skin tone and it neutralized the redness on my face. I also appreciate that this foundation does not need any primer and does not need any powder or setting spray for it to be long wearing. Now for my cons, going back to my pro where this foundation does not need any primer or it doesn't need any setting spray. On the other hand, it doesn't also like other products to be blended on top of this foundation. My cream bronzer did not really blend so well. on top of this foundation, and even my blush, I have to blend it while applying it, because once I lay the brush onto my skin, the blush will just stick there and it's so hard to blend. So I feel like this foundation was tested out just by itself without any product, because it's not really loving other products on top. And even for my concealer, when I put the concealer on top, it looked heavier than usual. I can really see my concealer and it's starting to look not cakey, but it started to look very thick on top, and it's really highlighting the small bumps underneath my eyes. It also laid a little flat on my skin, so it didn't give me a better looking skin. And when it comes to photography and on videos, it just looks flat, so it didn't really help me look better. This is not a cheap foundation. This is 65 Canadian dollars for 30 ml. So if I'm going to splurge on an expensive foundation, I want it to be more versatile. I want it to be good for an everyday use or for special events where I know I'm going to be photographed and my videos will also be taken. And I'm also expecting this to work with other products, because if I'm going to a special event, I'm not just gonna wear foundation. I'm also going to wear bronzers, blush, highlighters. So I'm expecting the foundation to work with other products as well. Another con is that it has this heavy floral scent. So if you are sensitive to scent, I cannot recommend this foundation for you. And my last con is I'm missing the glow. I'm not gonna miss the glow if this did not claim to be a glowy foundation, because I actually like how it really controlled my oil. But they're claiming that this is a Care and Glow foundation, and it's not at all a glowy foundation. It's more like a demi matte foundation, and as time passed by, it really dries down into this powdery matte foundation. So based on my personal experience with this foundation, I'm not very impressed with it, and it kind of hurt me a little bit, because LANCôME is one of the brands that I trust. I actually remember my aunt from US, every time she goes to the Philippines or visit me here in Canada, she would give me some of her LANCôME products, and I always love it. I remember she gave me the eyeshadow palette with silver and purples in it, and I always use it. It's very blendable, and I just like the quad because everything works together perfectly. So I have had good experience with LANCôME, but this foundation just didn't blow me away. And also maybe because on my previous videos I tried the Mario Surreal Skin foundation and the YSL Ultra Wear foundation, and those two foundations look so good on camera. The products that I put on top of it really blended well, so maybe the bar was high up there. So when I tried this foundation, I was kind of expecting it to work as well as those two foundations, and maybe that's why it added to my disappointment. And also I chose this foundation because when I went to the Sephora website, it has 1,600 reviews, and out of those 1,600 reviews, it has an average of 4.5 stars. So that means a lot of people are really liking this foundation. But when I was looking at the reviews now, I realized that most of those reviews are incentivized. I'm not invalidating incentivized reviews. I'm not invalidating their experience with this foundation. But we also have to factor out that based on some research, incentivized reviews tend to rank higher. So as a consumer, I just think that we need to be aware of that factor. So if you have tried this foundation and you love it and you had a different experience than mine, just comment down below what you did so we can help the community out. And on my next video for this series, I am very excited because I will be testing out the NARS Natural Radiant Long Wear Foundation. Again, another long wearing foundation, another radiant foundation. I have seen a lot of my makeup artist friends use this on their kit, and their clients always look amazing. So I'm really hoping that this would also do wonders on my skin. And I also really wanted to add this to my bridal makeup kit, but I want to test it out first. So hopefully this really works on my skin. So make sure you stay tuned for that. Don't forget to like this video, don't forget to subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you'll always be updated once a new video is out. Thank you so much, dolls, again for watching. And if you have any questions or any requests, just comment down below. I'll see you on my next one.